to talk to you guys about being an empath. You know, we are all sensitive to the energies around us. We're all influenced by the energy exchanges between people, the energy exchanges with our environment. But being an empath really heightens your sensitivity to energy, and it can get to a point where it can become very destructive in your life, and it can really control and take over your journey. So that's why I wanted to talk to you guys about the possibilities that you might just be an empath. Okay, so being an empath myself, I have experienced really big ups and downs with this, and it took me some time to understand it. It took me some time to learn how to guide that power and how to protect myself energetically. And so sometimes I have days that it really works great, but then as I am still a human being, sometimes circumstances cause my protection field to become fragile, and I allow other people's energies to affect me very greatly. So being an empath can be a positive and a negative quality. It can be a very rewarding ability, but it can also be a very destructive ability. So on the one hand, it can be a very powerful tool that allows you to look into other people's emotions, into their motives, and you get to connect to their real intentions and their true nature. Basically, you know, that smile that everybody hides behind is just non-existent when you're an empath, and you get to peek into the real person behind that mask. But on the other side, it can also be a very limiting, a very destructive power, especially when people are not aware that they are empaths, when they're not aware that they are connecting to energies outside of themselves. And so what they do is they start to absorb these external lower vibrational energies. And they start to identify themselves with that external energy source, and that's the dangerous part, when we start to become other people's negative energies, other people's negative emotions. And so we can literally get lost in other people's emotions and feelings, and this can lead to depression, this can lead to feeling lost, this can lead to not knowing who you are, even to identity disorders, and so much more. But no worries, empaths can learn how to center themselves so that they don't feel too much or they become overloaded with energy. And you know, I'm not going to lie to you. You will continue to have great days and you will have not so great days. But your abilities will no longer lead you to those self-destructive moments, but instead they can lead you to great abilities that you might have never known that you've had. That's why protection is really important, and that's also why understanding the self is so super important. So the first step is to acknowledge that you are an empath. So here are a few typical behaviors of an empath. So like I said, number one, empaths are super sensitive. We're really sensitive, very emotional beings. And empaths are givers. We're natural nurturers with great compassion and love for all. And they are open to spirituality, and they're great listeners. So we are able to feel other people's pain and suffering, and we will express that pain very easily. Even if you're just watching something sad on TV, you know, you get those commercials where the little puppy dog gets run over or something, and you'll just start crying, or you see children suffering, you know, or people suffering, you know, just the smallest little bit, and boom, you're off. You're letting it all out. You're feeling like shit. You know, I know that happens to a lot of people, but empaths, it's just instantly, okay? So it will make us emotional very quickly. And so our feelings can get hurt very easily as well, especially when others will tell us to stop being such a wuss, or they'll say, toughen up, you're so sensitive. People can be very negative about that. And that hurts us even more, and that brings our energy down even more. So empaths are highly attuned to other people's feelings, whether they are positive or negative. And we feel everything super intensified. So we absorb negativity, such as anger or anxiety or fears, which can really be exhausting to us because we're just taking it all in. We're just sucking it up like a sponge. But if we're around peace and we're around love and compassion, we can experience that blissful, abundant state of being as well. Also, when people are sick, you will be able to feel it. You will be able to feel where they are hurting, and sometimes that can be handy. For instance, for me, when my children are hurting, my oldest daughter has autism and she does not communicate to us verbally. As an empath, I can kind of scan her body and I will feel where she's hurting. So for me, that's a real benefit. I can feel what my child needs or wants. She doesn't need to talk to me verbally. I can feel it. It doesn't always work depending on how I'm feeling, but most of the time I understand what she wants, where she's hurting, or what's going on inside of her, just by connecting to her energetically. So, we're super sensitive to emotions. And so, dependent on which kind of emotions we're mostly surrounded by will determine how we feel as well. Will determine whether we feel we are in a good place or whether we are in a really bad place. Okay, so the surrounding energies of family, friends, colleagues, any kind of relationship can be very influential on how we experience our reality. So number 2 is empaths are easily, they kind of easily attract the wounded, the hurt, the broken people. It's like people get drawn to you because empaths are natural healers. People who are hurt or in pain will get drawn to our healing energy and our empathy that we all have. And because empaths have such big hearts, we will never turn anyone down. I mean, it is natural to want to reach out to these people and to ease their pain. That's just, we just feel drawn to do that. But empaths take it one step further. We also take on their energy. We take it away from them and carry it with us. And this leaves us feeling drained or upset when the person who was hurt, those people walk away feeling great, feeling good. We literally take it out of their energy and take it with us, and we start to identify with that. So really dangerous people for an empath are narcissists because they lack empathy and are not only concerned with themselves, and so they can make empaths believe that they're unworthy, they're unlovable, and drive them into darkness, which can really lead to, to having suicide thoughts, to suicide, to not wanting to be here. So we attract the broken, the brokenhearted, the pain, people who are suffering, who are in pain. We automatically attract them because on a subconscious level, people can feel the healing abilities that we have, and they just know that if I talk to that person, I'll instantly feel better because we literally take it from you. Okay, so that brings me to number 3. A lot of empaths are introverted. Now, we usually try to avoid big crowds because all those energies can be very overwhelming, and we prefer one-on-one contact or small groups. And even if an empath is more extroverted, kind of like me, they may prefer to limit how much time they spend in a crowd or at a party. Also, we're home buddies, meaning that we like to stay in familiar and safe locations, and we try to avoid going out as much as possible. Um, I love being home. I love being in a safe place. I remember as a teenager growing up, people would, ask me, "Oh, do you want to go to the pub? Do you want to go to a club? Do you want to do this?" I always said no, or I found an excuse not to go. Sorry, guys. But I never felt comfortable in really big crowded places, and I still don't. When it is sales time and the stores are super crowded, I like go in, I go for what I want, I get out of there as fast as I can. I get nervous. There's just too much energy for me to handle. So I try to avoid those, and I will go on the days where everybody's at work. That's when I will schedule in, okay, I'm going to do shopping on that day, because then it'll be a lot quieter in the malls and so on. So, you know, my children have that as well. They don't do well in crowded places because of their autism. So, in that form, we're kind of the same thing. But you can be an introvert as an empath, or you can be an introvert. You do have both. I used to be very introvert as I grew up, and now I've become very extrovert because I've learned to express myself, because expressing yourself, expressing your energy, your feelings helps you to cope with them, helps you to release that energy. And I had to teach myself how to do that. And so now people look at me and go, "But you're so social." Well, I try to avoid social contact as much as possible. But I love helping people, and I love healing people. And so that's what I continue to do. Okay, so let's move on. Enough about me. Let's move on to number 4. Um, Empaths love to be surrounded by nature. The world nowadays can be very hectic, it's very busy, it can be very confusing, and that can sometimes be too much for an empath. People can drain us. The overall energy on earth can drain us, and so we love the solitude and the oneness with nature. The energy from Mother Earth helps empaths to re-energize, and it heals themselves. We literally get healed by the power of nature. And we feel this urge, this immense pull towards nature's relaxing pure energy. Nature, the trees, the grass, water, all of it neutralizes the negative lower vibrations, and it replenishes us to, with the high vibrational energy, with the positive energy. And you might also notice that animals seem to trust you, and they get drawn to you whenever you get near them. And so you also feel drawn to them for companionship. And they make you feel happy and great inside, because their energy is always higher vibrational. It is always higher than a human than a human energy, unfortunately. Why? Because they're closer connected to source. They don't hold on to all the negative emotions that people do. They live in the moment, they live in the now. So their energy is always positive, or it's neutral, so it doesn't drain us. Now, a lot of empaths might feel drawn to becoming, a veterinarian, or to work with animals or anything like that. I remember when, for years I was going to be a veterinarian because I felt like I could communicate to animals. I trusted them. They make me feel good. And to this day, I need to be surrounded by nature. I need to be surrounded with animals because they make me feel amazing. Okay, so it's not just a love for nature, but it literally, for me, it makes the difference between being happy and being unhappy. If there's no nature around me, I literally feel miserable every day because I need it. Okay, it's not just, oh, it's great. It really is a need. We need to be surrounded by nature in order to feel good. Okay, so number 5, is that empaths are intuitive channelers. So empaths are very intuitive. Whether they are aware of that or not, they will experience their reality through their feelings and their emotions. So developing their intuition is very important. Learning to listen to your gut feelings about people will help empaths to find those empowering relationships and will help to avoid those energy leeches. Okay. Number 6 is empaths have highly tuned senses. An empath has heightened senses, and so their sense of smell, their sense of sound, their touch can be overstimulated, making it sometimes really hard to handle noisy places, to handle excessive physical contact or very strong smells. So not everybody has that. For me, I have a very for me personally, I have a heightened sense of hearing. I hear very well. I will hear noises that my husband is like, I don't hear anything. And I'm like, I hear it very clearly. How can you not hear that? And then he'll look at me like, I have no idea what you're talking about. So I know my hearing for me. And so very loud noises, I usually try and stay away from them. Okay, so let's go to number 7. Empaths can spot a liar from a mile away. Ha! Okay, that's a superpower to have nowadays. So as an empath, you can easily read people. And so when they are lying, you can feel it in their energy and it triggers a set of emotions inside of yourself. You instantly know what you're saying doesn't match up with what I'm feeling about you. Because, what they say, it really doesn't align with the energies that they're sending out. Now, what I do is, and this is me personally, I usually let them do the lying and pretend that I don't know that they are lying just to see how far they would go and how much they can be trusted. Then I decide later on whether or not I should create distance between us or not. Okay, so whoever's trying to lie to me, don't do it because I'll know it, but I won't tell you that I know. So that's one of our superpowers. So if you're really good at picking up liars, you might just be an empath. Because sometimes it's true. Sometimes people will say things, but the energy that they're sending out, the energy you're receiving is like, that doesn't match. She's saying one thing, but I'm feeling something else. Okay. So a great ability to have, I believe. Okay, so number 8 is that as empaths, your living environments affect you greatly. Like I said, I'm a person who needs to be surrounded by nature. But our environment will always affect all of us, whether you're an empath or not. It always affects all of us. And most of the population will experience a change in mood and attitude. But for empaths, we can literally sense those influences. For example, when you have a clean, tidy, cozy home, you will feel instantly in a state of rest and comfort. But if you are in a messy, untidy, over-cluttered room, you will instantly be affected with lower emotions that might be started by certain objects in the room or just the overall energy of the room itself. Now, there are some people out there who love a cluttered room, okay? This does not apply to everyone, but overall, people will be affected by, the energy of a room, okay? Now, also, let's say you walk into a house where everything is neat and tidy, but there is a constant fighting or a constant negativity present by the inhabitants. Then that beautiful room will no longer feel very beautiful, but it will feel fearful and negative. And empaths can sense that. You can have the most beautiful home in the world. When you come in as an empath and there has been a lot of arguing or fighting or negativity going around in that house, you will look and see a beautiful environment, but you will feel fearful. You will feel negativity. Sometimes, the hairs on your arms would stand up. I have gone into homes that looked beautiful, really big, nice homes, and you go inside and instantly you feel scared. Although there's visually nothing to be seen that is supposed to give you fear, but I can feel the energy that's going on in a home, and I can feel like, uh-oh, there's something wrong with this family, or there is a negative presence in this house, you know. So if your living environments affect you enormously, if you can pick up on energy of locations, of homes, without having the visual affirmation of it, you might just be an empath. Okay, and so number 9 is most empaths will overlook their own problems. Guilty. Empaths are usually so occupied with helping others that we usually forget to attend to our own needs and wants. And this leaves us drained, and this leaves us tired and exhausted, because usually our energy is going in all these different directions that it creates chaos in our mind and our body, and it leaves us with not enough energy left for ourselves. So basically, our hearts are so big that we just give too much of ourselves away, but we don't give enough back to ourselves, or we don't keep enough to keep us healthy. And I'm very guilty of that. It's really hard for me to say no to people who are in need. And I will overwork myself, and then I end up sick and drained, and I have to cancel readings, which makes me feel even more crap. But it's, there's no, I can't do my job if I'm drained, if the vibration isn't good. The connection with spirit just doesn't work. So I have been forcing myself to make sure that my energy is good, to make sure that my schedule is better adjusted to me staying empowered in my power instead of having it drain myself. So if you do have problems with draining yourself, giving too much, stop for a minute, reorganize yourself, reorganize your life, reorganize your schedule to a point where it is doable for you to have re-energized time. You need to make time for yourself to just re-energize and release everything and clear your own energetic field. Okay, and so last but not least, number 10, empaths often go and choose professions in the healing or the spiritual direction, such as hypnotherapy, nutritionists, psychic readers, Reiki practitioners, animal communicators, caretakers, social workers, counselors, teachers, doctors, nurses, and so on and so on. So it's just a natural pull. We feel pulled to heal, aid, and reduce the pain on this earth. It's who we are. So that was it. Those were my top 10 signs of being an empath. Now, there are other qualities behind that. You can even go up to top 20. But these are the top 10 ones. If you feel like you fit in those categories, if you feel like everything I just told you seems to match up with who you are, then you're an empath. And so next week, I'm going to show you and everyone, even people who are not empaths, I'm going to show you how to protect yourself energetically, and how to create a field around you that's going to bounce off whatever energy is unwanted or whatever energy is destructive to you. So stay tuned for that one. I love you guys. Many blessings, and have a great, great day.